We are back. You are chatting with John P. Today we are going to be talking about why you should not buy a ceramic Rolex watch. Now there'll be some other watches sprinkled in there, and there will also be some exceptions. So please make sure to watch through the video. I know I'm going to get guys in the comments. They're going to say, you hate Rolex. You're a fanboy of this. You're a fanboy of that. I like Rolex, but there are some reasons why people should not buy certain watches, and I'll talk about it, of course, in my opinion. But first, thank you for coming back for another episode. Do not forget to hit the like button, thumbs up, the bell as well for the notifications. It really does help me, and leave in the comments below things you'd like to see. On my wrist today, I have a JLC Polaris chronograph with the blue dial. This is my favorite version or iteration of this model. I love it. We have it at delraywatch.com, but I might buy it for myself, so make sure you get there before me. Otherwise, you might miss out on this awesome watch. Future classic for sure. Actually, a previous classic if you want to get technical with it. Instagram, The Real John P. So let's jump into it because I know I have some people absolutely triggered. So Rolex sports watches, right? For the last couple years, they've been just growing in price. The demand is just flying up there. I've made some previous videos where I've kind of noticed, and I have some data to support that there is a pullback in the Rolex sports watch market. Now, in the last 2 weeks here at Delray Watch, we've been getting more calls from guys and people that have received phone calls from authorized dealers that said, hey, Mr. Jones, we have this two-tone Submariner that just came in. We have this two-tone Yachtmaster. We have this Sky Dweller with a certain dial. We have this precious metal Daytona. Do you want them? And so we get a call, and he tells us about this, and he says, hey, I'm going to be buying this watch. Do you guys want it at higher than retail, or do you want it at retail? Because really I wanted the Daytona, and this is what they called me for a few months later. Unfortunately, and if we were one of these guys, I'm very sorry to have to talk about this, but it's happened quite a bit. Unfortunately, some of these watches, like the two-tone ceramic Submariner, the two-tone Yachtmaster, and some of the Sky Dweller dial variations, they just don't sell above retail or even at retail in the secondhand market. And the advice that I've been giving is, hey, if you really want the Daytona and the dealer is calling you for this watch and you don't have previous spend with them in high dollar amounts, they're probably just trying to dump it on you, unfortunately. Now, I know some of you are thinking in your head, that can't be true. Rolex, ceramic Rolex, modern Rolex is absolutely going to double in price, all of them. Unfortunately, it's just not true. We do business with a couple of other distributors in the industry, and I can tell you for a fact that the two-tone ceramic Submariners, there are at least 30 at just one of these businesses that I know that are sitting there under retail price. And so I just can't in good faith recommend or even let someone walk into an AD, pay retail plus tax for one of these watches, and even take a small loss in the hopes that maybe the AD will call them with the Submariner or with the Hulk or the Batgirl or the Daytona, because it's very unlikely to happen. As I've talked about in previous videos, and Federico has talked about, and many people that are in the industry have talked about this, you have to spend usually a lot of money. Sure, you're going to hear a one-off example of a guy that got lucky, but it's very rare, and for you to take a guaranteed loss on a watch to make someone happy or a salesperson happy, especially a low-level salesperson at an AD, it's just not enough probably to get you there. And sure, if you do take a bit of a loss now on one of these watches, you buy it, you make them happy, and they give you a Daytona 6 months from now, and the Daytona is still worth double retail, sure, it's much cheaper than paying double retail. But that gets me into the next reason why I don't think you should buy a ceramic Rolex, or why someone that thinks this way shouldn't buy it, is I can't recommend that these become asset classes for investments. This is a hot topic on YouTube. It's a hot topic in the watch community, investment class of watches essentially. And for watches that are mass produced, and let's face it, Rolex mass produces watches compared to, what they used to do when we're talking about something like an exotic dial Daytona or a vintage Cosmograph from Rolex, where you see these crazy prices. These things are floating all over. The demand happens to be high right now. I see a pullback, but in 50 years, there's still going to be tons of these floating around. So unless the population just flies through the roof of people that are willing to pay this kind of money for a watch, and the demand grows as well with that trend line, it's just not a great investment compared to where you could be putting your money elsewhere. I mean, if you're literally bored and you have all the money in the world, or you just don't care about money, sure, gamble around a bit. But I can tell you, out of the people that are not dealers, and I mean full-time dealers that just like us at Delray Watch or any of the other guys out there, the people that have stocked up on these watches have gotten bored with their investment and have gotten rid of them, and have gotten rid of them for much less than they had hoped for. Out on the market, the free market, Chrono 24. Now, there's been some guys that have got into 5711 and some of the other Pateks, and they've done pretty well. But when they've gotten into some of these things, like the Yachtmaster and some of the Sky Dwellers, it just wasn't worth parking their money, and that's the feedback that I've received from them. Now, it seems like I'm really putting a lot of negative energy into modern Rolex, but I really do not want that to be the case. I don't want that to come across that way, but I wanted to give you kind of this little warning because it's just happening more and more frequently. Authorized dealers are getting more of these two-tone models in, and they're also getting more Rolexes in. I think a lot of hobbyists and enthusiasts and people that were very interested in doing the whole investment circuit with these things have picked up their watches, and now you have guys that are late to the party and they have a lot of questions, and that's usually, in an investment scenario where there's a lot of hype, that's usually the guy that's left standing in the room holding the bill at the end. So some words of caution here. Now, to say some good things about Rolex, I'll say that Rolex is making a great product, and their retail price is okay. If you're talking purely on spec alone, sure, you probably can find something that has a little bit better specs, especially for less money. That's what we do here at Delray, so I can tell you it's true. I made another video about that. But if you like Rolex, and I like Rolex, most people enjoy Rolex, and their watches are iconic, try to get something at retail if you can. Also, don't be afraid to get something pre-ceramic because the numbers on those are much more attractive. So if you're drawn to something like the Rolex Submariner, a stainless steel Rolex Submariner, don't be afraid to get something a few generations back instead of paying more because of the hype, because I do see a pullback, and I think in the future the prices will become a little bit more palatable in the secondhand market. Also, if all your friends like it, it doesn't mean you have to, right? Many people enjoy it, but because of these reasons I mentioned here, if you're not already on the bandwagon, I don't think you should jump on. But it's fair to say that Rolex plays a very important part in the watch community, and now certainly, popular culture. So that's something to consider, but please also take the considerations I have here, because I don't want anyone to get stuck in a situation that they squeeze themselves into, and it's all because of the peer pressure, because it just won't work out. And unfortunately, we get the calls here. So I wanted to share that with you in an effort to help and also do my part as kind of the bridge and the gap between the watch dealer community and the watch collecting community, because hey, I'm both, right? We all enjoy these things, and this just happens to be what we do here at Delray. So thanks, guys. Leave in the comments below. I want to hear from both the guys that agree with me, disagreed with me, and certainly the guys that became extremely triggered and didn't even watch the video but read the title. Those are my favorite. Leave in the comments below. Don't forget to check out Delray. Like and subscribe. Thumbs up button. It helps me. I'm sure people will see this, but it always helps to share this with your friends. And Instagram, The Real John P. Have a great weekend, guys. It's Friday here, and it's sunny here in South. Actually, no. It's starting to rain. It's sad, but let's try to make the best of it. You have been chatting with John P. Ciao.